Hello and welcome to Chopped Greens. I am your host, Philip Amerine, sitting alongside the one, the only
Luke Wright.
And today we are doing something a little new, so hopefully it works on all formats. So forgive me if there are some technical difficulties on this specific episode. This is my first time doing this. But we are being, I guess you could call it live streaming on Facebook Live right now.
What else would you call it?
I think you can call it live taping.
No, it'd be live streaming.
If you're taping, does it have to produce a tape?
The word, yes.
Oh, so then we are not taping. We are streaming. We're with the new generation.
Also, we can't even see ourselves. You left the audio.
Did you want to? I felt it might be a little distracting.
No, I would have preferred to see it.
Well,
what happens if somebody moves and then we move out of frame?
Somebody moves. All right, there you go. Fantastic.
Okay, we got 2 viewers. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Ruby.
Oh.
There we go. There's our 2 viewers, Ruby and Parmesan, right there. Beautiful. All right. Anyways, so this past week.
Thank you, Ruby.
This past week, there was a bunch of duds in our NFL slate. The standalone games had good quarterback matchups, which really helps in any NFL game. But then, upon further review, we see that the games were greatly blowouts on either end. Whether we're talking the Steelers and Antonio Brown winning me a game for me. I got like the league's highest scoring game of the year, so that's good. Not in our league. But anyways, whether it be Eagles versus the Cowboys and them just running through the Cowboys like a sieve, and on Monday night was
hold on. Running through them like a sieve?
Yes, as if they were a sieve themselves.
Oh my God, that is brutal.
That is brutal if you're a Cowboys fan. And then on Monday night it was redeemable. And you know sometimes I disagree with you on them bringing up old stats and it just correlating to whatever story or narrative they want. I'd agreed with you on the fact that they brought up this whole thing about Russell Wilson and his last however many Monday Night Football games is like a perfect passer rating. He's undefeated. To me, it was just a bunch of baloney and just happenstance. I think that the Andy Reid coming off of a bye record was more meaningful, although going back to this past week and laying a dud against the Giants did not help that.
Giants, of all people.
I might have even respected it if it was the 49ers, but it's like the Giants and the Browns. That's just embarrassing to lose to. All right, so we have a lot of games that didn't quite live up to our expectations. What game would you like to talk about from the past week?
I'm gonna talk about the Rams-Vikings game. Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be built up as the two contenders for the NFC going against each other, and we were finally going to see who was better than who, and could Goff perform against an elite defense, and there are so many narratives and storylines heading into that game, and then the Rams just kind of blew it all.
It was a very tight game for a long time, but it did feel to me towards the end the Rams blew it more than the Vikings won. It seemed like home advantage was a real thing in this game. And it's unfortunate when a game comes down to just a fumble in the red zone, just a few key mistakes here and there, because I would say that these two teams were one of the 3, including the Saints, which that game I'll get to later, to contend with the Eagles, who I'd agree we'd say at this point in time are the 3 main contenders. Maybe you throw Carolina in there.
I would throw New Orleans in as number 4, but those are the top 4 in NFC.
You put them in any order you want. That's probably the contention for the Eagles right now.
Yes.
Robert, they had to deal with a lot of injuries, although, of course, nobody's ever going to forgive them for it. I mean, the Seahawks are decimated by injuries, and nobody's giving them any leeway whatsoever. So I would say that the Rams have only 2 victories against a winning team this season thus far, and now the Vikings have 3, so they were both a bit uneven, and now we're going to see how each team fares going further down the road. Neither team has ever proven it in this version of themselves. The Saints have done this before back in, 2009, I believe, when they made the Super Bowl run?
Yes.
And that's that's been a while, but they're getting back to that formula, that running first formula, which they displayed last Sunday against the Redskins, which turned out to be a very interesting game. First time in franchise history that they've come back from a 14-point deficit within the fourth quarter. Very, very tight game, very back and forth. My biggest takeaway from this, though, was not good Saints. For me, it was more the Redskins are quite possibly, I forget their record right here now. I think it's like 4-6, something like that.
They're right around the 500 mark, a game or two of it.
This is probably the best 4-6 team in NFL history. They are the epitome of a hard out, and honestly, they can tell the rest of the NFL that if it were not for a couple key injuries, a couple of bad breaks, genuine just heartbreaking losses, they possibly are worthy of a wild card team, but they keep running up against a bunch of just, a bunch of hard outs to gain their venture back into mediocrity.
There are two main things I took away from the Redskins and the Saints game. One was Kirk Cousins is going to get paid a lot of money this offseason.
New highest paid quarterback.
Absolutely. And
back up Matthew Stafford.
The Redskins are just completely blew it, and now Kirk Cousins is proving he can do this with literally no help. And then two, can either of these two teams play defense when it matters? Because the Saints gave up 34 or 31, and then the Redskins ended up giving up 34. So it's a case of everyone had a lot of praise for the Saints defense early in the season, but it's kind of they've been hit by injuries, and it's kind of starting to they were hit by injuries, and they were playing better teams now.
Lost both of their starting cornerbacks. I know that they lost Marshawn Lattimore.
They lost Alex Okafor as a pass rusher. So it's a case of if they can manage to stay healthy enough on defense to where when they get to the playoffs, they'll be able to hold teams to not 30 points every single week.
To this point in the NFL season, I was unsure if I was seeing a depreciating Drew Brees or just a team that was that good on the run that they didn't need to rely on Drew Brees as heavily as they did before. I think this specific game leans more towards they were that good on the run. Drew Brees certainly has that skills to make a 14-point deficit late in the fourth quarter and even help them win. He showed that he still has the capability to lead a team to an aerial attack should they need it, and let's be honest, they are going to need it, especially if they go up against these higher scoring teams that the Vikings, I believe, are now 5-0 whenever whenever they score 20 plus points. The Eagles, they certainly have a tendency to blow by their opponents. They have a ton of blowouts this year.
The Rams still score a lot, even if they didn't score a lot last week.
Because that's an elite defense. When we're comparing just specifically to New Orleans, we don't know what quality we're going to get week in from week out, injuries or not, regardless. So this week, that's a perfect segue to our most interesting game of the week this upcoming week. Luke, what is your most interesting game of the week?
I'm going to have you start this one off.
Okay.
While I momentarily remember.
Fine. Fantastic. My most interesting game of the week, by far, is Buffalo versus Kansas City. Now, I know that off the top of your head, this would not be, highlighted, put a little golden star in the kindergarten room, as it were. But for all the wrong reasons, this specific game is the most interesting game of the week. We have confirmation now that Tyrod Taylor, lo and behold, is the best cute quarterback on this team.
Shocker. How did we learn that?
Five interceptions later, I think that test was failed. One half. Joey Bosa and Melvin Ingram, they almost seemed guilty. They almost seemed like they were like, again? Do we pressure him again? Yeah, let's go for it. It was crazy.
And I feel bad for him because while he is not a good quarterback, Peterman, he was not that bad. He got hit on a couple throws. He was getting hit on every throw that wasn't intercepted. He had a couple bad drops by the receivers. Those 5 interceptions were not just on him.
You know what I think is that they need to somehow come up with a new stat where, or a new stat name, something along that line, to where it doesn't come up as just a blank interception, because interceptions are just have such a negative connotation to you. But you could have thrown, in this case, let's say 5 interceptions, but a couple of those were off of the receiver's hands. That and I think that it should count separately, so that way he only threw 3 picks. I mean, again, that's horrendous, but not all of those were his fault.
Yeah,
but still, he was that bad. And it was just a mismatch
good
stylistically when you have a pass rush that dominant compared to a pocket presence quarterback that's not a Tom Brady who can manipulate the pocket. He's just not that far along in his development as of yet. I doubt he'll get there, but there is the time element.
You don't think he'll get to Tom Brady's level?
Yeah.
You're going out on a limb.
He was,
there.
a 3rd round? Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick overall.
He can be half as good.
Overall. Yeah, he could. He has about 3 rounds worth of potential to make it up there. Your most interesting game of the week.
So I'm going with the Thanksgiving game tomorrow, Minnesota at Detroit. You're seeing Minnesota as a dominant NFC contender, and Detroit is one of those teams where they're good, they're pretty good, they're probably a playoff team, but what else are they? Their defense is hit or miss. It's not particularly great, but they are able to use that pass rush to take advantage of bad teams. And Stafford's pretty much doing what he did. That was the most amazing stat I saw on Monday night. Was not Russell Wilson's Monday Night Football
his
record?
Quarterback rating for all Monday nights
last Monday was he was undefeated. He's never lost on a Monday night game.
Yeah, Russell Wilson.
But what I found interesting is they said, Russell Wilson has 19 fourth quarter comeback wins since he's been in the league. That was number 2. Number 1 was Matthew Stafford at like 25. So this is clearly a quarterback who we all know can perform in the clutch, and he's going to be able to take that Detroit team even further than it should go. So I'm interested to see, one, if he can get this win, because if he gets this win...
They've already done it earlier this year. They won the earlier matchup. That was when Dalvin Cook, the featured running back for the Minnesota Vikings, at that point a rookie phenomenon, went down. I felt like that was more of a Gordon Hayward emotional letdown game that favored the Lions dramatically.
But if they win, they move to 7-4, and Minnesota drops to 8-3. Detroit will then hold the tiebreakers against Minnesota if somehow there does come down to a tie there. But I think it'll be interesting to see what Detroit can do with a win here and what they can use that to build off of. Because this Detroit team, I think, is better than most people give them credit for. They've beaten up on some bad teams. Atlanta. But yeah, they should have even more wins than what they have now. And so I'm interested to see where they will be moving forward in this NFC playoff picture.
Am I going off too far a ledge if I declare it that winner of this game between these two wins the North?
Depends on who wins.
No, okay. So
I think if Minnesota wins, it wraps it up.
Okay.
If Detroit wins, it puts it into a conversation.
Because they'll have 2 wins against the Vikings.
But I haven't seen their schedules yet. But it's possible, though, Vikings will still only need that 1-game lead over them to win the division. So I'm willing to say if Detroit wins, it's at least it's a good conversation to have. If the Vikings win, then I think they pretty much wrap up the whole thing.
Another conversation that we need to have on some podcast: why is Matt Stafford why does he never enter these MVP conversations? That's just another conversation.
His team's never good enough.
It's unfortunate because he really is. He's akin to Russell Wilson, just not as flashy, which Russell Wilson's fantastic, and it's much more evident. We're talking about the top of the division. Let's go to the bottoms of the divisions. I want you to tell the fine folks at home which game is our least interesting game of this upcoming week.
For me, it's easily Cleveland and Cincinnati.
The Ohio game?
The Ohio Bowl.
The Ohio Bowl.
There's literally not a single positive storyline you could find in this.
I have AJ Green on my fantasy football.
That's not a positive. Your fantasy team's trash. So
I'm in the playoffs. I'm the last one. You and me are right here. And you have an important matchup coming up.
I gotta win this.
You need it.
Last week was just me and the other dude. We had 2 of the worst matchups we'd ever seen. It was quite
possibly the most inept performance on offense.
It was sad. It was sad. But that performance I had in fantasy still won't be as inept as the offenses in this game.
That is very true.
You look at this, and AJ Green might literally be the lone bright spot across both teams.
Man, AJ Green deserves better.
Maybe Joe Mixon as a rookie can come out there and show some flashes. David Njoku, but that's what you got to cling to if you're a Bengals or Browns fan. First of all, I apologize to you. Like, get some help. But there's really nothing to watch here. There's no playoff possibility for either of these teams. Cleveland's all but has the number 1 overall pick sealed up so that they can screw it up on some other bad pick.
We better hope San Francisco pulls out another win, just so that way when they win their one game, wherever it is.
Giants still only have the one win too.
No, they have 2.
Do they?
They beat the
Niners and the Chiefs. That's right.
Yes,
I forgot.
That two teams later.
Forgot how great that Niners Giants matchup was.
Yes. My least interesting game of the week isn't going to have 2 teams of ineptitude. In fact, it's just so overbalanced that it's going to be boring. We're talking Miami, New England. Now, I know in the past, New England has laid eggs versus Miami from time to time. That usually comes later in the year. So this first
week.
Yeah, it's usually the last week. They're playing for nothing, just playing to stay healthy. This particular game means nothing to the Miami Dolphins, who are reeling, coming off of, you want to talk about offensive ineptitude. I don't know how they are even scoring any points. Jarvis Landry is the lone bright...
Thank you, Jarvis.
Is the lone bright spot, akin to A.J. Green. And I don't even know how, when he's shuffling between 2 quarterbacks in Jay Cutler and Matt Moore, who each, just one will finish a game better than he starts, and the other just won't make it through the entire game because he keeps getting injured and concussed and probably deserved to still be in the whichever broadcasting room he signed earlier. I think it was CBS. No, it wasn't CBS. It was
no, I think it was CBS.
CBS. Okay.
A little fun fact for you.
Yes.
The Dolphins and every single team in the AFC, with the exception of Cleveland, are only 2 games out from the wild card spot.
That is as much as the Redskins are the best 4-6 team, the Dolphins are the worst whatever team they are.
They're only 1 game out.
I cannot tell you how they've won that many games.
They won 4 in a row, and then that was it.
You wanna know? They're the only team within playoff contention, I believe, and maybe even a winning record. Do they still have a winning record?
No, they're 4-6.
Okay, but they're the only one in the in playoff contention with a negative point differential.
Yeah, they had that even after winning 4 straight. And everyone was like, how is that happening?
How is this happening? Because of the Falcons, 28-3. All right, most significant game of the week. I'm going to go down to L.A., and I'm going to take those Saints and New Orleans. And I'm going to say that the New Orleans-Los Angeles Rams game is going to hold the most weight for a lot of obvious reasons. One, they're 2 conference contenders going together. The Rams are coming off of a delegitimizing game. Should they win this game, it will reinstate a lot of credibility that they lost in losing to the Vikings. New Orleans is coming out. I don't know that we are certain that Marshawn Lattimore and a lot of those other key pieces for their defense is going to show up. However, LA has lost more home games. They look worse at home, ironically, than they do on the road. So we'll see if they can shake off that bug for themselves. This will eliminate, for me, the Rams, should they lose, from, in my eyes, being a legitimate contender. They will be bumped out by the Carolinas of the world, the other, whoever should make it out of the North.
I'm just interested to see how the crowd is in that game.
Yeah, will they all be there?
Well, see, that's the thing. The Rams have been able to at least pretend to have a home field advantage. Chargers literally are just playing 16 road games this year. Not even figuratively. They are literally playing 16 games where their opponents have more fans in the stands, which is the most pathetic thing I've ever seen on an NFL stadium.
That's so sad for the players, for the organization. Not for the organization, the head of that organization.
Of everyone, from top to bottom.
Your most significant game of the week.
My most significant game of the week, and this one's a little interesting, Jaguars, Cardinals.
Okay.
Jacksonville traveling to Arizona. And I find this interesting for several reasons. One, I think this tells a little bit of the future of the Cardinals. can they beat a Jacksonville team at home? Is Blaine Gabbert going to be your stopgap quarterback? Is Blaine Gabbert going to be your permanent quarterback for a few years?
Well, we did just find out today it's confirmed that both David Johnson and Carson Palmer will remain out for the rest of the season. They will not return.
So you're pretty much done for the year in terms of your playoff hope. But this team still needs to perform. There are so many holes in this team, so many question marks. And it starts from the very top with Bruce Arians. Is he going to be back next year? Is Carson going to be back next year?
We know Fitzgerald will be.
Fitz signed an extension to where he could be back next year. He could still retire, though.
Yeah, that's always on the table.
And he's made a lot of comments in the past suggesting he would retire after this year. But you're looking at, who's going to be that quarterback? Who's going to be playing on defense? Because they have not been particularly great on defense outside of Patrick Peterson.
And don't forget, this is dual revenge games, all right?
Blabbert.
Blaine Gabbert coming back to Jacksonville, facing his old team.
Not going back to Jackson. He's at home.
Okay. But then coming back, Calais Campbell.
That's the real revenge game.
Career high in sacks, 11.5, I believe.
Yep, and Saxonville has a chance to prove once and for all they can actually go out and beat teams. Every single team they beat, they need special teams. They need close wins because Bortles just is so bad. And I feel bad saying it because I actually want to believe in him. I want to believe that Blake Bortles can be a game manager. That's it.
That's all I
am asking of him.
Help him reach his full potential to be
the next Alex Smith. And that team can go far. But with Leonard Fournette, with that defense, with Blake Bortles, hopefully, D.D. Westbrook, former Oklahoma Sooner great D.D. Westbrook, is finally going to be able to start getting some snaps on the field. So hopefully that'll help Bortles out a little bit at least. So I'm interested to see if Jacksonville can show up and if they can at least guarantee themselves a 500 record for the year, if not more.
So our next segment requires that we put ourselves on the line and pick a lock of the week. And I'm going to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, from Thursday night football to Monday night football. Here come the Pittsburgh Steelers, a 2-game homestand. Will leave them
Sunday
streaking.
Night.
Sunday night?
Yeah, the Steelers game.
Oh, yes. Okay, excuse me. I've mixed up. Are you sure? I thought they played the Packers.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, they're playing Packers Sunday night.
Who's Monday? Oh, Ravens.
Texans, right. That's why I was confused as to why on God's green earth either of those teams would be your lock of the week.
No, the Steelers versus the Packers. As wonderfully potent as Brett Hundley's offense is, the one thing you can count on the Steelers is at home, they will go above and beyond their playing down to the competition level. So they're just a tick better than what they normally do whenever they face these awful teams. So I'm hoping that for some reason nobody gets injured. I mean, there's always that injury asterisk, but otherwise they should be the lock of the week. Brett Hundley's coming off and spiraling downhill like an inverse tornado. Your lock of the week.
My lock of the week is Bears-Eagles in Philadelphia. I cannot... This could be a trap game. Freely admit. Maybe this is the week they free Mitch. Maybe this is the week that D comes to life.
Fly.
I don't know. But I could not bring myself to bet against Philadelphia here. Yeah. So that's my lock of the week. If they lose to Chicago here, I'd be sad. Just to say, just at the bare minimum, I'd be sad.
At the bare minimum, he says. All right. So in our final segment here, in our bag of baddies, we've got those who we are sticking a fork in them and they are done. We have the Browns. We have the 49ers. Feel good about that. Feel
still feeling good about those.
Bears, they have as faint a pulse as you can have, along with the Jets. We have stuck forks in them. The New York Giants, again, they are at the bottom of the heap, even coming off of a 3-point win in overtime against the Chiefs. The Bengals, they have a route through which they could do it, but I'm going to say that somebody closes the door on them. The one that we stuck a fork in that I'm slightly worried about are the Chargers.
Only because that division is so bad.
Somebody has to win it.
So much worse than anybody thought it would be.
And as I look here on our entire standings, is there anybody else that you want to add to our stick a fork in them? They're done.
We haven't done this for a while. So I think there are multiple teams we can add right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Minimum, we got to add Tampa to that list.
Okay,
I think that's fair.
Fitzmagic will not be as magical at some point this year. So we're sticking a fork in Tampa Bay. Done.
I hate to do this. Mm-hmm. I think it's time to put a fork in them.
Who?
The Denver Broncos.
Losing the Bengals was a sin unfathomable. At home, continuing the losing streak to 6 now.
I love Paxton Lynch, and I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm still not 100% convinced that.
Let's wait a week. Let's see. Okay. Maybe Paxton Lynch, a healthy Paxton Lynch, can get something of a salvable offense on the field. And again, everybody in that AFC West is close. It's going to be a horrible finish to the finish line. But let me stop you right there. Let's add somebody that you're low on. Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
let's
add them.
I'm finally done. I predicted before the year that they would win their division. I get it. I'm wrong. Anybody else? I'm trying to see.
I'm kind of thinking Arizona.
Oh, you're kind of thinking? I'm there. I'm done pondering. Let's add the Cardinals. They are toast, and not Texas toast. They are Arizona toast after being savaged to death.
Even though we've been talking them up, I think we should put the Redskins on there. They have the same record as the Cardinals with a harder division, and they're playing in the harder conference.
I'll make you a compromise. Let's put Green Bay in there and wait another week on the Redskins.
I want to wait a week on Green Bay. Right. I believe in Brett Hundley.
The one of UCLA Golden Bear fame, Brett Hundley.
You want to rethink that? Cal Bear, UCLA Bruin.
Oh, I had the Bears, you know.
This guy.
At least it wasn't like I said Baltimore Bear or something. All right, so we'll wait on Green Bay, Washington. Wait another week. If Washington somehow makes New York go on a streak here, I will personally be offended and be the first to put them on our fork session of our show.
What happens when New York wins out and wins the Super Bowl?
Well, for one, we will need to put a fork in ourselves because that will be the worst forking of all time. But what's his name? Who's the head coach?
Very helpful.
New York Giants.
Oh, Ben McAdoo.
Ben McAdoo. He did say that this team has a run in them.
They don't.
They have a run.
They don't.
Maybe they've got the runs. All right, so we will move on to our next session, which is the Give Me 5 section, right after this. All right, this is the Give Me 5 section.
I hope Maddie is watching.
Oh, yes.
I hope Maddie is watching.
That's all I can say. This is the part of the show, of course, where I got 5 questions for you, Luke. You got 5 questions for me. We don't know what they are, but we will answer them honestly. Gary, in the back, who goes first?
Philip.
All right.
Thank you this time.
So, Luke. So, as is per the usual on our Give Me 5s, I will give you 5 games, and I want you to tell me what is the line for each game this upcoming week. All right, I got 5. You got to get 3 correct in order to win, and I'll give you a point leeway.
Yep.
Here we go. First one: Los Angeles Chargers versus the Dallas Cowboys.
5.5. Rams.
Chargers.
Oh, I just heard LA. I'm gonna go Chargers still. I'm gonna go 4.5 though.
So Chargers minus 4.5.
Correct.
Okay. You're wrong. The Chargers are -1 at Dallas.
Really?
Yeah. If you think about it, though, they got to travel all the way from the 3 point to Dallas all the way back to the 1 point. So that's like 4 points. It's around where you were thinking, just a little off on the math. Next one, Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. And then, of course, is Atlanta at home?
I'll do Atlanta minus 5.5.
That is wrong. Atlanta Falcons are at minus 9.5. So you got to run the table here in order to get above 500.
No respect for the Harvard graduate Actually, I don't know if he graduated from Harvard or not. No respect for Harvard alum Robert Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I think he shaved too. Did he?
He did. It does not look good.
No, I like the beard.
Bring back the beard.
Bring back the beard, and we don't mean Harden. All right, here we go. Your most watchable game this week: Cleveland versus Cincinnati at home. Point spread on that.
Cincy minus 5.5. It's got to be more than the 3.
It is more than a 3, but it's minus 8.5.
Cincy's not that good.
Ooh, there's some betting odds right there. Betting advice from Mr. Luke Wright. So you are a negative for the week. Let's see if you can get one. Let's see if you can get one here. We're fighting for one. Next one, the Taylor-led Buffalo Bills versus Kansas City at home. Give me the spread.
Kansas is at home?
Yes, it's in Arrowhead
Kansas
Stadium.
City, since it's not technically in Kansas.
Right.
I'll go Chiefs.
Okay.
Minus 7.
So close, but yet not. Kansas City minus 10. Yes, I gave you the hard ones this week. I wanted to see if you could do it.
Oh my God.
Just too much, huh?
Start betting house payments, folks.
New Orleans Saints versus the Los Angeles Rams. Point spread. Gotta get one. Come on, buddy.
Saints at Rams.
Saints at Rams.
LA minus 2.5.
On the nose! Came in the clutch.
I didn't know if it was going to be 1 or 3, so I was just like...
All right. Yeah, good thing you didn't go with the 1 there. So, yes, on the nose for the Los Angeles Rams. Back to you, sir.
Okay. So, now that the NFL has finally relaxed its policies on celebrating...
Yes.
We're through 11 weeks so far. We're heading into week 12, and we've had some amazing touchdown celebrations. It's been amazing to watch players sacrifice their practice time solely so that they can practice touchdown celebrations.
Unfortunately, some of them didn't practice enough, though. I think that there was some...
There were some that weren't good.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, what has been your favorite celebration so far?
Oh, this is easy. This is so easy. It's the Travis Kelce-led Kansas City Chiefs potato sack race.
That one is?
That
really?
was fantastic. Who's your leading candidate?
My leading candidate was definitely I don't remember who it was. I think it was the Vikings. The leapfrog.
Oh, okay. That wasn't bad. Not bad at all. All right, so is it back to me?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Look, this is November, aka award season. Now we have all shared in the off-screen drama of Leonardo DiCaprio's plight for an Oscar, which ended 2 years ago with his win for The Departed. That's not right?
What?
No.
The Revenant.
The Revenant, yes. So now, with Leo winning, BuzzFeed has offered their contender for who could take over the DiCaprio loser role. They selected Amy Adams, who has been in Hollywood for nearly 20 years and has been nominated for 5 Academy Awards, which Leo won on his 5th, so she has already surpassed him in the lost category. Luke, do you agree with BuzzFeed's frontrunner, or would you nominate someone else as the most deserving to win an Oscar who has failed to do so thus far?
Trying to remember his name, because they had already done this like the second Leo won, and you're gonna have to help me on this one. Okay. I think it
Gary
is.
Might need you too.
I think it is. Is it Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman. Oh, for the character actor for who in Dark Knight Rises and Dark Knight series was Detective Gordon.
Yes,
Gary Oldman.
That's who my pick is.
Has he not won, Gary?
To my knowledge, he has
won
not.
an Oscar?
Yeah. I don't think he has.
He's been nominated. I don't know if he's won, though.
All right. Go to our stats and research right here, Gary, and let us know.
The one thing we need him for, completely useless on.
I thought it was for the Is or Experience drink. That's what we needed him for. All right. So let's go to you. You're up next.
So, last week I had a couple coworkers. It was their birthday, so we went out to Scottsdale. We went out to Culinary Dropout. Very nice place. Have you ever been there?
No, I have not.
Highly recommend it.
You guys been ever to Culinary Dropout?
The fried chicken is amazing.
The fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
That's very weird that there can be like a lot of flavor in fried chicken.
No, it was delicious. Okay. But it was $17, so it was a pretty good price.
Did you get like the whole chicken?
I got like 3 big pieces of fried chicken plus like mashed potatoes, coleslaw, a biscuit. It was good.
Nobody likes coleslaw. I think that's the dirty secret.
No, coleslaw is good. This was like some of the best coleslaw I had ever had.
Yeah, because coleslaw has no flavor.
That's
gross.
False. That is 100%
When Cane's
false.
advertises for their stuff, they even say sub out coleslaw for more cane sauce. That's how bad coleslaw is.
First of all, Cane's most overrated chicken on earth.
Whoa.
Yeah, I said that right.
Out of all your hot takes, that is the sizzlingest.
No, because it's just a fact. It is a statement.
No, I still think you're.
But anyways, we're getting
that's what you're wrong on.
Literally everyone except for you admits that In-N-Out fries are the woe.
No.
Correct.
No.
Yes.
They are not. They're the best of all time when they are hot and ready and fresh.
No.
Out the oven.
Because they're literally never hot ready. First of all, what do you mean oven? What? They don't bake their fries.
Maybe I do when they get cold.
I hate you so much.
Didn't see that one coming.
The question.
The question was.
There were some pricier items there. And it's kind of for an establishment of that level, they were actually kind of cheap. But like the most expensive entree they had was $26. We were gonna go to some other place where they had like $36. Me and my dad went to a steakhouse where they had $50 entrees. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, what was the most that you would pay for dinner at a nice restaurant?
Ooh. Okay, so are we talking about a joined bill or just like I myself go to dinner?
You and Ruby go out to dinner.
Okay.
And what is the most you will pay for dinner for the two of you? And that's including drinks.
Oh, man. Well, okay, so that's... The drinks won't affect me because I don't drink. I'm like... I will...
Okay, but maybe Ruby wants.
I know. I'm lifetime DD for Ruby, so...
Ruby, get the most expensive drink they have.
Okay, so... if we're talking... we'll probably share an appetizer. We're a sherry couple because neither one of us has like a big appetite. So
Ruby's here.
I know.
You're lying.
All this.
You're lying.
She will back me up. But
all she did was send a wink.
I know.
I hate sharing. I get so upset.
It depends. If we separately order, we can separately order dinners because there's some stuff, some wanky stuff an appetizer we'll share.
Yeah.
It depends on if we had eaten earlier, or if we had snacked, because then we have that capability.
We're gonna assume you did not.
Assume that we did not. So we'll share an appetizer. For separate dinners, we will go. So appetizer, we're talking. Man, this is like super expensive. We're talking $15 for appetizer. We're talking separate dinners. That's probably like what, 20 each. So that's 40.
Sorry to make
That's the most that you'd be willing is 20 each.
No, I guess if we're okay. So I'm thinking of filet mignon.
I was thinking of it this way: at Culinary Dropout, there were only 2 entrees that were under $20.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything else was minimum of 21 to 26.
Okay, I won't even space this out. I would say that if I were to get a bill that was above $200, I would. I would literally sell Parmesan because that is the craziest thing that could happen. $200 for one meal. That's one time I
Ruby also is trying to get a comment in here somewhere.
Yes, you can comment, Ruby. The filet mignon and shrimp at Fleming's is $60. Yeah, we would split that. That's.
Would you though?
For $60, yeah. Yeah, I'm saying we would not. $200 is like parm. I would not personally spend $200 on a single dinner. I even hesitate to say I would spend $200 at like a hotel for like a single night stay. It's those like single one.
But what is the most? The question was, what is the most you would spend? You just said you wouldn't spend $200.
Probably like $175.
$175 is the most expensive.
Is like my max, and we're talking like I went all out. And I'm not inclined. It's just us two. If I'm like treating for an entire family, then whatever.
Wow. See, I would never spend more than $125.
Well, for you?
If I went on a date, which is very unlikely to happen, but if I did and we went to a nice restaurant, I'm probably I'll stop her.
But see, that's different though, because me and Ruby, we've been dating for a while, so it only escalates. Like that first date, you can sneak in a couple of just middle of the road. You don't have to go all out, and you shouldn't, because then you're setting the bar like way up here, off screen, way up here. Like you gotta ease it up into that classy Valentine's dinner, filet mignon, delicious. All right. No one ever needs to see that, said Charlene Uhl, whose 16-year-old daughter, Haley Kruger, was among the 26 victims of a recent gun assault. But grisly videos and other images captured by live streams, security cameras, and cell phones are increasingly becoming part of a raw historical record of mass shootings, haunting pieces of evidence left behind, along with bullet fragments and bloodstains. It takes just a quick web search to find hours of black and white security camera footage taken during the Columbine High School rampage in 1999. Whether to ever release these videos or keep them permanently out of sight raises vexing questions, and releasing them could affect the integrity of law enforcement investigations, re-traumatizing families of victims and feed online voyeurs and conspiracy theorists, officials say. But others argue that keeping the videos out of public view masks the true horror of mass shootings and allows politicians and the public to avoid confronting their bloody reality. Luke, officials have kept videos from other mass shootings out of the public view for years after the fact, including those that captured parts of the Pulse nightclub shootings in 2016, the attack at Fort Hood in 2009, and the deadly shooting at a constituent event in Tucson led by former Representative Gabrielle Giffords in 2011. So where do you fall on releasing disturbing videos such as mass shootings and others?
There's a time and a place for everything.
Okay.
And I think it's the same thing here. I do believe that the video should be released, but you have to do it right. You have to do it to where it makes sense, and you have to do it respectfully to where you can control it.
Do it right. Because
you need to pick a time and a place. You need to give out the graphic warnings. You need to tell people, hey, this is the video. And nowadays, there's a lot of the reasons why they listed why you shouldn't don't necessarily make sense. People didn't believe that. There are still people today who think that the Holocaust was a conspiracy theory. So, I mean, online conspirators are always going to have those conspiracies, whether they have the video or not. So I just think in general, there aren't a lot of good reasons to not show it. More than likely, if you are a victim of those, you're probably not going to be worried about watching it on the news. Like, you have bigger things to worry about, to put it bluntly. Is you're not going to be watching the 6 o'clock news. And if you are and you happen to see that they are doing that, you have, throw up the warning and you have time to change it. So I've always been a big fan of, I shouldn't say fan, but I've always been a supporter of throwing that kind of video on air, as long as it is being done respectfully and not in a way that looks like it's just doing it for clicks.
Right.
So.
Agree to agree on that. Your turn.
So Eminem recently released a song with Beyonce called Walk on Water.
I have yet to hear it, but I've heard of it.
I personally enjoyed it. It's definitely like an Eminem song and not a Slim Shady song, if that makes sense. It's no My Name Is or Without Me.
Right, it's a serious.
It's a serious Eminem song. And this is all in lieu of an album that he is supposed to be dropping anytime now, that he's announced that he was working on back in July or June. And Eminem's a pretty old dude. He is a GOAT in the rap industry. And my question to you is, should Eminem still be trying to drop albums at this age? And furthermore, when should rappers stop trying to rap?
That's hard. It's like comedians, right? When they get to a certain place in financial stability, they no longer become funny. Like Kevin Hart, he has 5 mansions now. He's had to escalate from being a stand-up comic to being a movie star and use that to funnel into a new business. Kind of like P. Diddy, how he's become more of a
brother love.
I think that was a joke.
Get it? No, it was not. You will respect Brother Love on this podcast.
Diddy, Dirty Money. I mean, it's kind of
Brother Love.
Brother Love, fantastic.
Get it right.
It's where they expand into a mogul status. I would say for rappers, I'd say that cutoff is... I don't even know that it's an age, because you can probably have some version of the Betty White of rap who comes along in the game and gets noticed way later than they should. But honestly, I don't know, because I think that it's once you reach a certain point to where you have no more messages left to say that are genuine and heartfelt, and it's not just popularized to just sell. Because I still would want to see Snoop Doggy Dogg, no matter how, because he's just funny. Seeing him narrate like wildlife videos is one of the best enjoyment, 5, 10, 15 minutes of your life that you can possibly enjoy. So I would say after a certain point, just move on, just phase out, try and see if you can become something else. Football players do it. They move on, still stay around, comment. Comedians still stay around, be funny people just outside of stand-up comedy. I think that there's a natural progression in evolutionization.
Evolution?
Evolution, I don't know why I was trying to make that fancy, but an evolution to where they can evolve into another layer of themselves. Brevity is the soul of wit, goes Shakespeare's famous line. While celebs and others across social media have been publishing their hilarious, outraged, and or perplexing reactions to the news that Twitter was officially doubling its character limit for all of its users, now sitting at a luxurious 280 characters, authors' response have been, let's say, a bit sharper on average. Twitter formally made the change on November 7th, and in the days since, some of the most prominent living writers have spoken out against it, believing it to undermine what made the social media platform so unique and often witty. J.K. Rowling wrote, Twitter's destroyed its USP. The whole point for me was how inventive people could be within the concise framework. Kicking off a Twitter chain of opposition that spread to Stephen King, Neil Gaiman, and more. Normally, most people are heavily opinionated on the 140 to 280 character count debate, but does this banding of famous authors give you cause to pause with your support on the 280 Twitter character expansion, Luke? Or will you stay resolved in your fervent support?
I have always been and always will be a supporter of 280 characters.
You're a man of the people.
Yeah. In all honesty, there's no reason not to have 280. Like, the only problem with 280 are people who are words that I was about to say, and then I realized I don't know what we can and can't say on Facebook Live and on this podcast. But unless you're purposely trying to be annoying and doing like a long blank tweet or something like that, 280 is just nice. You don't have to use 280, guys. Shout out to JK. You can still use 140. Like, I don't know why people pretend like now you have to use 280 characters. You don't. You can still have short tweets that are funny. Spoiler alert.
I think because everybody wanted to use as much as they could to the 140, that now they feel obligated that they have to expand it to 280.
Then stop feeling obligated.
That's it. Just stop. Just stop it.
Just stop.
That's his advice.
I find it. I personally appreciate. I don't need 280. But I'm glad I have 280s. I wanted 200 because normally I'm just a few words off.
And how many does a GIF count for? Like 30 or so?
I have no idea. But I didn't think a GIF counted for any, if I'm being honest.
It does. But I don't know how much. All right. You, sir.
Okay, so there's been a lot of rumblings of esports lately. It's becoming bigger and bigger. They just had an event earlier this month that had over 75 million people watching, had sold out a 60,000 person arena for it. And now you're seeing a lot of sports teams and sports executives investing in esports teams. Robert Kraft, Golden State Warriors, the Houston Rockets have their own actual affiliates that are in the prime time of esports. And so is it shocking for you to see so many high profile, not just high profile investors, but high profile investors that are so heavily linked to traditional sports?
No, I think in this specific day and age, so many investors are becoming popular through mediums such as Shark Tank, for one, where they're looking for what's new, what's next. And video games themselves aren't what's new, what's next. It's this expanded universe that I think the game Halo fully somewhat like led to a popularity where everybody kind of came together and was like, wait, we can all connect and we can all play together. And it kind of like that became, for me at least, maybe I'll just speak from personal experience, that's where everybody's social consciousness of playing video games really became a group activity as opposed to just either a solo activity or a finely small group of people. It used to only be one player to like 2 players. 4 players was almost too much. It really depended on
at
the
that
game.
point you needed 2 monitors.
Yeah, it was really bad. So I think that with the expansion of digital and the way that video games sometimes even look better than some of the CGI on movies now, just the way that it's fully grown on and the way that it's been tacked onto sports is an interesting narrative that kind of like wrestling, pro wrestling, the WWE, how it's been married to sports now and it's being sort of branded together and just it's being added to the genre of sports. It's a very interesting sidebar that I think certainly will grow and I think that that smart people with money will always see this is rising as opposed to just standing pat with just being stubborn and owning an NFL team. So. Okay. Luke, we have the official results from 2 weeks ago, Wright's win column, where you picked the Eagles to win. That was correct. You picked the Chiefs to win. That was incorrect. The Texans did not win. The Rams won.
I think that was the week Deshaun Watson tore his ACL.
Yes. The Rams won. Jacksonville won. Seahawks did not win. And the Lions won. So you came close. But this week I want to give you a chance to do better. Again, choose 7 winners, just straight up winners for this weekend's slate of NFL games. And let's see if you can do better this week than just the regular 4. I want to see if you can get at least 5, but you have 7 games to do it.
Redskins.
Redskins, okay.
Are you gonna write these down?
Yeah, Redskins, go.
Falcons.
Bengals. Excellent choice.
Patriots.
Another excellent choice.
Eagles.
I believe one more. No, you have 2 more. I'm sorry.
Steelers,
my lock of the week. Excellent decision. Last one? Yes, last one.
Did I say Patriots? Yeah, I
Yes,
did.
you said Redskins, Falcons, Bengals, Patriots, Eagles, Steelers. Now's the tricky one. Now we get into the murkier games. We get into the Baltimore, Green Bay. We get into the...
well, Baltimore doesn't play Green Bay. I already picked Steelers to beat the Packers.
Texans, I'm thinking.
This guy.
I mix up those 2 games.
All the time. I think I'll go Ravens.
Ravens, all right.
I think Cowboys have enough left in the tank to where Chargers aren't a lock. So
okay.
Is that 7?
That is 7. Redskins,
okay.
Falcons, Bengals, Patriots, Eagles, Steelers, and Ravens.
Mark them down. House payments, every single one.
Locks all in all. Your last turn here, buddy.
So I grew up in a divided household. My parents got divorced early on, and the most traumatizing thing about it was if I went to my dad's, there was Coke, and if I went to my mom's, there was Pepsi.
Okay.
Easily the hardest part about parents being divorced.
Of course.
By far. So growing up, I learned to like both.
That is so sad.
I had to take one for the team, had to pull together what was left of the family, and I just had to be the guy to just drink both. So my question to you is, are you a Coke guy or are you a Pepsi guy? Or are you a Dr. Pepper guy?
I don't drink soda anymore, but when I was...
It's weird.
I know. But when I was, I used to like Diet Dr. Pepper the most because it tasted like the original. Diet Coke does not taste like Coke.
It does not.
Diet Pepsi doesn't even taste like Pepsi.
I've never even tried it.
Yeah.
Have no intention.
I have no intentions of doing so. But Diet Dr. Pepper actually tasted close to the Dr. Pepper brand. But my favorite that I would just go normally was Sprite.
I was a big Sprite guy.
So I would go in the Coke family of the division.
Okay.
All right.
That was my last question. I don't know if you have any more.
No, I'm all
Okay.
out. So that will wrap up this week's edition for Chopped Greens for the sports side. For those of you watching on Facebook Live, stay tuned. We'll do another session in a couple minutes with Gary Boucher. We'll be reviewing the Justice League, which was
No idea.
was a roller coaster.
Was it as bad as I knew it would be?
Depends on your point of view. Depends on the context of where you came in to watch it.
It was bad, guys. It was bad. Calling that right now.
Calling. Bet
Calling
the house?
my shot.
Bet the house?
Oh, I'll bet all the houses.
All my Monopoly houses.
All of the Monopoly. I'll bet the hotels.
Ooh. Well, that's pretty bad. All right. So next week we'll see what we'll be reviewing. More than likely, we'll talk a little bit back on review on Thanksgiving slate of games. You have an exciting Thanksgiving planned?
I'm going up north with a couple friends. I'm going to go and visit one of his...
Friendsgiving?
Yeah, sort of. It'll be with his family. His family bought property up north.
Okay.
So we're tagging along, so it's not just him and old people.
Fair enough.
So
Him and old people.
gotta help him out.
Well, will they have all the traditional food and such?
No idea. I'll be honest. It's gonna be weird to end the show on a hot take like this.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving food is kind of trash. Wow. So
Wow.
yeah, I'll say that.
I cannot think of a bigger way to end the show than that. For
Luke, right?
I am Philip Amerine. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And of course, we will be back next week. And as always, bye.